Unfortunately, there are good places, and I've seen some very good places, obviously run some myself, but also there are some very bad practices. And one of the things that I've sought to do, we have a whole person training pack for carers, and we sought to develop this, which treats carers how to treat people holistically, how to read, it's not about how you move them, it's about the method you move them and how you treat them, how you respond to them, and all this thing. And I agree with you that there are different standards, and it is up to the standards agency to do it. And if you're not satisfied, then you should keep knocking on the doors. Yes. I'm not a supporter of care homes, don't get me wrong.
No, I appreciate what you're saying, but I mean, I do think there comes a place where maybe people need that yes, professional care which you cannot give in the home. And I think what Bill said, up until then, great, do as much as you can, but there does come a point, then you've got to find a good home, haven't you?
And many people do excellent jobs in home. In many places, they are very well cared for, but like all things, it depends on the manager, the staff. I could tell you, having run lots, that the manager is a very important person, and certainly the owners, they're very expensive places. But I mean, my aunt's in a Methodist home and very happy there, very fulfilled. Yes, it has its problems. Yes, it has it because it's an institution. An institution,
and it always will have its problems.
Will always have its problems.
Yes.
But by and large, she's extremely happy there. Yes. She's got good fellowship, good relationships, and it works very, very well. But I mean, I'm fully aware that others aren't like that, and so the options open to you are, one, to move them if you could find another one, or two, is to fight for their rights, their dignities. And one of the things that I'm very keen on is that people do stand up for the vulnerable, the poor and needy, and give them a voice. Because if you don't say anything, then they're not going to say anything. And I think there are a number of organisations today that are seeking to do this. There's all these programmes recently been on Radio 4 looking at care homes where there's been obviously serious things going wrong and problems. And like many things in life, there is good and bad. But it is a responsibility of people like myself or others that if I find something wrong, not to keep shut, but to actually. So,
if you need further help on that, come back to us. We'll make sure you get the details of who you need to communicate with on that issue. It is important, isn't it, to find the right home, but one of the other things you talked about what you are doing in this. Now, is this something which you are looking to do nationwide, or is this something at the moment which is only in particular area?
It's only in particular areas where I'm working. As something that I'd like to see expand, which is, and there are three things. One is that people have a holistic review of their problem, and in other words, that when they're assessed for care, it's not just their practical care, but their emotional, spiritual, and other needs are assessed. And that's one area that I would like to see. It is beginning to happen, to be honest, generally, but there the church can make itself available by having people who can go in and do the listening and the caring, and people who understand how to treat older people and how to talk to them and listen to them and not talk down to them, but talk to them at their level.
It probably is, if you've never had any experience of that, it probably is important that you have some sort of training day of how do I communicate, what are some of the problems I might face, and I shouldn't react like this, I should react like that. It probably would help, and maybe churches should be thinking of putting more of those on for their people in the locality.
Well, certainly I would encourage churches to have a ministry at older people where people are trained how to do it, whether it's something they want to do in the church themselves and develop their luncheon club and ministry to older people, or whether it's something they go and deliver outside in the community, in care homes or in day centres or what have you, and just go and offer their services to these people and offer to run a little service. But it does need to be something that's done sensibly. And of course, you've got to remember an old person's attention span is very short.
You don't have the hour and a half, do you?
No. The sermon has to be less than 5 minutes.
And visual aids are good as well. Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
What can we do for you today?
I apologise for my rather croaky throat at the moment.
Sounds like you need a doctor.
I do. Terrible cold.
What can we do?
I just wanted to really contribute that I have been a carer for a number of years. I'm not at the moment. Somebody had, I believe, either emailed or rung in saying that they felt that the stress for carers is enormous.
Yes, they were saying that.
That they're run off their feet these days. When I first started doing caring, it was a lot happier. But in these days, it seems to have got more and more difficult. They very often, it would appear homes were getting agency staff that often come from abroad. They don't perhaps speak very good English, and the elderly don't seem to be able to
relate to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what can be done about that. That's difficult, and in a way, it became very depressing for me.
Right.
I had some of my most fulfilling years while I was in caring.
Caring, yes.
And some of my saddest as well.
Isn't part of it, Sarah, that you saw it as very much a vocation, you saw it as very much serving God, whereas maybe many people today are looking upon it as a job that gets pay?
I'm afraid...
I think that could well be part of the problem, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I don't know what can be done about that. It seems...
Well,
you've got thoughts on most things, Mervyn. Yes. What's your thoughts on this one?
Well, it's something dear to my heart. This is why we have introduced this whole person care training, because very few people understand a holistic approach. They just see it as a task-orientated approach. And that's one thing, and through training people. The other problem is that obviously regulation is driving. One of the things that part of the modern society we live in is that we've got to do certain things and fill in certain forms. This is a problem in medicine as well as the care industry,
yes,
which is negating time with the person. Because you've got to do certain tasks, you can't spend time with people, because you've got to behave in certain ways or do things in, and this is actually, or fill in paperwork or what have you. And we've become obsessed with the system rather than the person.
Right.
And it's the same in general practice as well as in the care industry. It's exactly the same in hospital, where nurses have got to do the various form filling rather than treat the patient. And it's part of a reflection on our society. I'm very sad to see it over the last 10, 15 years that the system has taken over from the care.
But people like Sarah, when she was there, maybe didn't have to. But people today maybe still see that as a vocation. It's a question of learning to live with it. I mean, you've got to do what is your legal control, whether you agree with it or not. It's your legal. It's doing that, but it's at the same time finding ways to get beyond that, isn't it?
Yes, but it isn't. You don't need extra time. It's like people say. I mean, I used to train lots of carers in how do you move someone from the table to the toilet, for instance, who can't move. Now, it isn't just about how you get the hoist in, how you put them in the hoist, how you move them physically. It's about how you approach them, the attitude you say, the tone of voice, the way you treat them, you reassure them, what you say to them. There's a whole host of things that come into this process. This is a more holistic approach.
Right.
And
I tend to feel we need more carers. Unfortunately, it would appear that we can't have more carers because it'll cost more, but
I feel
we're too thin on the ground.
Yeah.
And to be able to spend time with people, to give them a care, doing their nails,
Is part of that maybe, I mean, the church maybe has a part to play here, because I know there are arguments, if you give your services free, then, you know, other people don't have a job. But if all the budget's been spent and now all the carers are paid for, is there a place where Christians in a local area who may be trained or can be trained, that they offer their services for free? Does this work?
Well,
it could be wonderful, actually.
It's wonderful if it works. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you find very few people who are willing to do that these days. Even amongst Christians,